Eastern Georgia and East Alabama. This is News 3 Evening Edition.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for trusting News 3. I'm Teresa Whitaker.
And I'm Phil Scoggins. First tonight, our newsroom phones started ringing off the hook today after a huge boom rocked Columbus and surrounding areas just before 5 this afternoon.
After placing several calls to agencies in the area and eventually found out that the sound was in fact a sonic boom caused by two F-15 jets breaking the sound barrier. That is according to Columbus Fire Marshal Chief Ricky Shores. He tells News 3 the jets were on their way to Warner Robins and were flying at altitude. No word yet on where the jets were coming from or what they were doing. We'll have more on this story from Bob Jeswald in just a few moments. Meanwhile, good evening, everyone. We thank you for trusting News 3. I'm Phil Scoggins. And I'm Teresa Whitaker. A huge boom rocked Columbus and surrounding areas just before 5 this afternoon. After placing several calls to agencies in the area, we found out that the sound was, in fact, a sonic boom caused by two F-15 jets breaking the sound barrier. That's according to Columbus Fire Marshal Chief Ricky Shores. He tells News 3 the jets were on their way to Warner Robins and were flying at their designated altitude. Now, we tried contacting Warner Robins to confirm that the jets were in fact headed there, but no one was available to speak with us. However, we did find some very useful information on their website that seems to be the explanation for today's startling sound. The Warner Robins Air Logistics Complex is responsible for the repair, modification, and overhaul of the F-15 Eagle, like this one seen here, and several other jets. After repairs or modifications are complete, the F-15s are flown on a special test route called the Macon Echo route. Here's a look at that test route. Test procedures require the aircraft to be flown supersonic or faster than the speed of sound. The supersonic run is flown west to east and results in the aircraft breaking the speed of sound, causing a sonic boom on one stretch of the test route. That supersonic stretch of the route begins east of Columbus and ends just west of Eastman. The sonic boom occurs only once, but the sound is dragged from the beginning of the run to the end and is heard throughout Middle Georgia. To minimize the effect of the boom, the aircraft fly at a minimum of more than 39,000 feet or higher. That is over 7 miles up in the atmosphere. Also on the Warner Robins website, they said, quote, sonic booms on occasion cause minor damage. Here in Columbus, one woman claims that her home was in fact damaged by today's sonic boom. Angela Grissett says she and her husband were sitting in the living room of their 23rd Street home when the boom rocked the home's foundation. She says initially they only noticed some furniture had shifted, like their bed. But she says after looking a little closer, they noticed a few windows had cracked, their home's roof had formed a bump, and there are now several cracks in the kitchen ceiling. Grissett says they used to live close to Nellis Air Force Base near Las Vegas, Nevada, and have never experienced anything like this.
And we never had this problem. We never had any sonic booms. They had all kind of fighter jets, stealth bombers, and all that stuff. And we never had this problem.
The couple says they called police out to document the damage to their home and also contacted their insurance company. Warner Robins also listed a number to call on their website if you believe your home was damaged by a sonic boom. That number is 478-926-2137. The website says to make sure you have all the details, such as the time, date of the day that it occurred, and the extent of the damage. Now, it's hard to believe that a sound from the sky could actually cause that kind of damage. So here to explain to us how exactly a sonic boom works is Chief Meteorologist Bob Jeswald.
Shock waves. You ever heard that before, the term shock waves? Okay, that's just what it does. And sometimes you can see, if it was lower in altitude, you can actually see condensation forming by the velocity or speed it's traveling through the atmosphere. You remember what happened in Russia this year, where a meteorite came in at 30,000 miles per second. Well, that caused such a sonic boom, it blew out windows for miles around. This wasn't the case, obviously, but there were two F-15s. That's what we're hearing too. And with two, it can maybe kind of, I don't want to say double your pleasure here, if you will, but it actually created more of a shock wave. And planes going faster than the speed of sound, as you heard Phil and Teresa talking about. It's 761 miles per hour, or even greater than that sometimes. And it does release the sound, or what we call the energy, as it expands in the atmosphere. And it gives that sound like an explosion, described to many people saying, are you sure, Bob, that that's what it was? It sounded like something crashed somewhere. And of course, by the time the planes are gone is where you hear the boom. Of course, that sound travels and it keeps on going and at one direction.
Good evening and thank you for trusting News 3. I'm Phil Scoggins. Teresa Whitaker has the night off. Unanswered questions still surround that sonic boom that shook the Columbus area yesterday afternoon. Officials tell us the boom was caused by 2 fighter jets breaking the sound barrier. But as News 3's David Hurst explains, no one is claiming responsibility for those jets. David joins us now.
Yeah, Phil, many of you reported hearing what sounded like an explosion or some sort of crash right before 5 p.m. yesterday. City and airport officials confirm F-15 fighter jets caused the boom heard across Columbus, but they say they do not know where they came from.
7 dispatch, be advised, we're under this call, says heard 3 loud detonations, sounded about like a hand grenade going off.
Yeah, no, we're getting calls on it.
It was a boom that caused alarm across the Columbus area. The Columbus E911 Center was flooded with calls as far north as Midland and as far south as Fort Benning, as everyone was wondering what they had just heard.
We felt that over here at the East Precinct, the building shook. Here on the train yard, it shook cars on the bridge here. We're investigating now.
City and airport officials confirmed the boom was caused by 2 F-15 fighter jets that were flying over the area.
Okay, we're trying to get the information now. We believe it's going to be at the airport. They're feeling it all over the city, and the calls are going off the hook down here.
The initial thought was that they were from Robins Air Force Base in Warner Robins, Georgia, but a spokesperson with the base says they did not have any jets flying in the area yesterday. We called several other Air Force bases throughout the area, and none were able to claim fighter jets in Columbus. Several officials speculated it had something to do with the president's visit to Atlanta yesterday afternoon. It is possible that a fighter jet was escorting or helping clear the airway before the presidential aircraft took off. White House officials tell us Air Force One was expected to leave Atlanta yesterday at about 5:30 to fly to Tampa, but left about 15 minutes early. Officials with the Air Force bases at Fort Walton Beach and Panama City both told News 3 it would take them more than a day to pull flight records to see if their jets were involved. The FAA says it's illegal to break the sound barrier over highly populated areas such as Columbus, so that may explain why no one is being quick to take responsibility. Reporting live in the studio, David Hurst, WRBL News 3, on your side.
Thank you, David. Experts explain the boom is the result of air being compressed and then exploded outward after the planes reached speeds of over 761 miles per hour.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for trusting News 3. I'm Teresa Whitaker.
And I'm Phil Scoggins. New developments tonight on the sonic boom that rocked Columbus Tuesday.
After 2 days of no answers, the Air Force confirmed today that an F-15 fighter jet flew over the Columbus area Tuesday and created the sonic boom.
They say that the aircraft was en route to Robins Air Force Base for scheduled maintenance. The Warner Robins Air Logistics Complex is responsible for the repair, modification, and overhaul of the F-15 Eagle, like the one seen here, and several other jets.
After repairs or modifications are complete, F-15s are flown on a special test route called the Macon Echo route. Test procedures require the aircraft to be flown supersonic or faster than the speed of sound. The supersonic run begins east of Columbus and ends just west of Eastman, Georgia. During that run, the aircraft must break the sound barrier, which causes the sonic boom. However, just yesterday, News 3 spoke with officials at Warner Robins who denied they had any F-15s in the area or running the Macon Echo route on Tuesday. The FAA says it is illegal to break the sound barrier over highly populated areas such as Columbus, so that may explain why it's taking so long to get to the bottom of the boom. The Air Force says details of the event are still under investigation.